All right, back live tonight with you here on In Focus, and thanks for staying on. Did Finance MEC Jacob Mamabolo present a credible budget in the sixth and final, I suppose, budget for this administration that he presented? You can weigh in this evening. 072-110-584. Drop us an X at Newzroom 405. Let's talk to him now. He's joining us in the studio. MEC, good to have you. Thank you very much for your time. 165 billion rands budget, 165.8 to be exact. 127 billion of that coming from national and 34 billion coming from yourself. You're saying you're raising this as a province via roads, economic development, health, and some from the treasury. Tell me exactly where you're raising this money.
Firstly, let me thank you for inviting us, greet the viewers. And just confirm that today we reaffirmed the target date set by the Premier of the province, Honorable Panyaza Lesufi, when he was delivering the State of the Province address, said we need to get done with this matter by the 31st of March, because we end in the financial year, so it's better to start the new financial year with a very clear way forward on the issue.
Yeah.
If you carefully read our the speech that we made today, we are already demonstrating that in the next financial year, which starts on the 1st of April, we have penciled in an amount for first financial year in the MTF period over a 3-year MTF cycle. We have penciled in money there to start servicing and paying that obligation that Minister put to us of 12.9 billion. So whilst we have said in the speech we're engaging financial institutions, but I think the fact that already in our books we are saying here is expenditure that is going to flow in the direction of servicing the debt, long-term payment of the e-toll. We have never reached that point. It's for the first time. Minister has emphatically, and I also think correctly said, demonstrate commitment to pay in line with the statement made in Parliament, 2022 medium-term budget policy statement. We said last year, when the Premier presents the State of the Province address, he will explain further. And today we have confirmed that...
But is that why he distanced himself from the statements you made in the State of the Province about the 31st of March deadline? Because immediately after the Premier said that, Treasury went, we don't have such an agreement in place.
I think let me try to clarify that. We're working on the 31st of March to meet the obligation of the 12.9 billion. So we're saying, we're only announcing today because this was the only day we could announce that, yes, come the 1st of April, this is what we are setting aside, appropriating to pay. So the Premier was right that we are working on the 31st of March to settle the issue. And today we announced and demonstrated practically what that means, including on maintenance. Minister was right at that point to say, I'm not seeing in money flowing out of the provincial revenue fund that is going to meet this obligation. So I think the way this might have been read, like there's a problem in the two statements, I think was it's something that I just think. Let me just say, there's no tension in the two.
All right. Let's get back to that question.
But can I clarify?
The provincial revenue fund, where are you going to get the money?
So you will see in the statement that we made that there's what we call transfers from national government. The transfers from national government are in two parts. There's the equitable share. We indicate the value there. There's conditional grants. We have set in 2022 November. When we pay the 30%, we will not touch the money that is transferred from national government in the form of conditional grant and equitable share because that money is meant to improve the quality of lives of the people. So it shouldn't be affected. And then we said, at that time, we were targeting to raise 7.1 billion with the financial year ending last year before we did our budget statement. So, our budget statement in the last financial year. We then collected 7.1 billion of our own revenue, excluding the one that comes from national. Yeah. This money is now growing. We're showing that it's growing
provincial only
to about, yes, of 8 billion.
Right.
So it says to you, and you can see that over the 3-year MTF cycle, that money is growing. So we believe that we are better positioned to service the loan over a long period. Because remember, there are two options here. Minister of Finance has clearly said we must pay here and now. If we pay that 13 billion, it will collapse the fiscus of the province. We don't have that money up front. Yeah. But we need to meet the minister's condition now because the e-tolls must be set aside on the 31st of March. So that is why we're saying, if you look at the fiscal consolidation, the cuts that are there, that have been announced, cost containment measures, and then we go and take almost 13 billion out, that we don't have that money. So we say, Minister, yes, we will pay the debt, but we are going to borrow, get ourselves a long period of time, the economy will improve, maybe cost containment policies will be relaxed, things will be much more better. At this point, it will not be correct to do that. So that is why you're now seeing us going to the market to borrow. Where will it come from? We believe that our own revenue in the province stand a good chance. When we were doing Gauteng, this province went to the markets to borrow, and it said to national government, we need your support on this loan. We have never defaulted on the loan. It has been paid throughout. That loan is also coming to an end in 2026-27 financial year. So our credibility, our standing before financial markets, and our performance there is very good. Yeah. So where we're standing, there shouldn't really be a difficulty of even, and remember, this commitment we're making, we're not even talking about more new revenue we are going to raise. Let me say to the viewers, and this point we didn't make it in the legislature today, but I can say this without any fear of contradiction. In our meeting with Sanral, which I announced that we met Sanral last week, one of the issues we discussed with Sanral, or there were two. There was an issue of maintenance plan, so that we don't have to pay the maintenance plan up front, 4.1 billion. Yes, but we then said to Sanral, the infrastructure of e-tolls is quite massive. Amongst it, we include the offices of Sanral that were supporting the e-toll. So that infrastructure cannot just be wished away. In the malls and everywhere else? Yes. Remember, and I shouldn't really take the credit for this, during the hard lockdowns, I've had discussions with you here about people not being able to renew their licenses. Yes. We went to Gauteng, we said, do us a DLTC model. They did that. Last year, October or November, we gave them 90 million to say, go roll out the smart DLTCs in the malls. 90 million, here's money. We want to generate revenue. Now, when we met with Sandra last week, 2 weeks, and we said to Sandra, hey, can't we look at your offices? And Sandra said, allow us to go to our minister and the board to put this proposal of Gauteng. Because indeed, and we say, why should we build in small DLTCs in the malls when you have got offices in the malls and obviously this infrastructure is not going to be used optimally? The infrastructure comes with employees. And are you absorbing those employees? Even the countries themselves. There's massive technology capability sitting there. If you look in the speech, for the first time, we are clarifying in very clear details that what does switching off mean? The lights will still be there. The countries will not be darkened because those countries are going to be repositioned for crime fighting. Yes. But even in that capacity, in those cameras, in that software, in the technology, you can still test the market and say, the market tell us how we can use this to generate revenue.
Yes.
So there are also good discussions. Sandra is saying, we hear you, allow us to go look at this proposal. So the point I'm trying to make is, in the projections we are making of paying the loan, we are not yet including what Sandra can come back to us and say. If Sandra makes a decision that we think your proposal for repositioning the offices as DLTC so that it's easy to renew a license, you know, it's now difficult, it will help us to add more revenue.
Right.
So I was just trying to explain to you that the post offices, many of the offices have closed.
Yeah.
We need those to make it easy for people to renew licenses. We're not penciling that in as yet.
Okay.
Over and above the 8 billion that we're talking about is our own revenue.
Yes.
The gambling board in Gauteng, we are having discussions with them about, hey, how can we optimize the space that you have? We are not yet penciling those. So the point I'm just making is we are very confident that we should be able to deal with that. If Sandra comes back and say, we think we can partner with you to generate revenue using these services, we have to discuss implications for the employees.
Yes.
If you look at how we're doing job creation in the province, Nasi Spani, we will not retrench. I can commit the provincial government. Yeah. Actually, we have already said that. Yeah. If Sandra says, hey, we think we can partner with you, we should then first deal with those workers. So I'd like to say that the workers can be reskilled, retrained. Of course, it also depends on them agreeing to be repurposed, reskilled, to do a different job. I mean, the inquiry is about Sandra will still be there. People will be coming to check this and that. Even when they are no longer receiving the bills. But it's not like on that day those offices won't be inquiring. So reskilling them, not closing those offices, making sure that those workers can still support this. So that is a win-win. But I mustn't say we're waiting for Sandra to say what, and the Minister of Transport.
Let's move to the other issue that is probably quite pressing in the province is the issue of health. 64 billion that you're putting aside for the Department of Health. There are many challenges that this particular department is faced with, including many promises that were made by the Premier as well around acquiring private hospitals. You've got doctors that have not been employed. You've got healthcare workers that were absorbed during COVID-19 that are now staying at home. They were assisting, that want to be taken in permanently. All these things requiring money. Doesn't seem that that budget that you have set aside, including the many other challenges, of course, that our hospitals are already facing, is nearly enough.
If you just look at what we are allocating to health, 64.8 billion, and it grows to 202.7 billion. That's a significant increase.
Exactly. It does over the years grow to a significant increase. But where it's sitting right now is quite below what the demand is.
Let me continue. If you look at the speech, we're making the point that we are aware of the problem of, for example, professionals, particularly doctors, who are not yet employed. And we are saying we're going to work with the department to look at that issue. So what we have never cut the budget of health. Actually, if you look at the statement, it talks about increases that are coming even from national. So we will work with the department to reprioritize and look at the budget on how to assist them deal with the pressure points that are there. We have acknowledged in the budget speech that, yes, if you even look at payment of invoices in 30 days as required by law, so the resources will not be enough. But I think that department is carrying, the biggest responsibility relating to health in the province and helping even many parts of the country. So, yes, resources will never be enough, but we think that a support from ourselves as Treasury working with the department, we should be able to deal with some of the immediate pressures that are there. And you would have seen in the previous budgets we made announcing the adjustments. We have always prioritized health, and we have always said, this is what we are adding to health. So I think I'm quite confident that we'll...
Scan the details of how you're going to acquire the private hospitals, though.
So the process that we... And remember, the Premier in the State of the Province address has already talked to the progress we have made with some of them. For example, the Nelson Mandela Children's Hospital, that was one of those that he mentioned. So the way we are going to move on this issue is there are private sector partners that we are working with. We have got an entity in the province called GIFA, the Gauteng Infrastructure Financing Agency, which works on blended finance. So, and then there's the Department of Infrastructure Development, which is the custodian of the province asset.
Yeah.
So in that partnership, GIFA, and they're doing this very well, they're able to take an institution and say, okay, who in the private sector is willing to work with us on this? So we are going to put our own money, but there could also be private sector parties that are interested. And of course, we are also using the money for infrastructure. Why build a completely new hospital from scratch when there is a hospital that you can use the same money to buy? So remember, property acquisition, you do it by either building a new asset,
yeah,
or you do it by buying an existing asset. So the law, what is called the Government Immovable Asset Management Act, GIAMA, does make provision that you can acquire by buying or you can acquire by building. So, and we know, and we have made this point very clear, performance of expenditure on infrastructure, new projects, construction, starting projects from scratch, takes time to deliver them. And we know there are problems of inefficiencies, there are problems of projects being stopped and all that. So acquiring new facilities, state of the art, by buying them, it's exactly what GIAMA or the Act regulating immovable assets says you can do.
Let's come back to the question of paying service providers on time. You're saying in this financial year, almost 100% of your suppliers went onto the electronic invoicing system, but you're still paying them late.
I think if we look at the statement that we made on this issue, it says we are paying our suppliers in the province within 30 days in almost all the departments, except the challenges we're having in health.
Yeah.
So in the context of the earlier point we're making on Treasury working with the Department of Health to look at spending patterns there, and of course how we can bring in efficiencies, we are quite sure that we'll be able to deal with this issue. So let me assure you and the viewers that in the next announcement that we'll make, when we do the MTBPS, because we are coming back, remember, the NC is coming back.
That's what you're saying.
So the new administration, which will be led by
hear
NC,
what the voters say on the 29th.
I mean, if you just look at the good work that the province is doing, the sentiment and the mood has completely changed. The people are quite looking forward to the elections. But in any way, the point I'm just making is we will provide further details. And I think when the MEC of Health is giving the vote speech of the department, the MEC will also talk to this issue. But it's a challenge. It's in the speech. We're acknowledging it. And I can say to the people who are doing business with the Department of Health that we are deeply concerned about this issue. With the MEC, we're working on it. And we think we will get it right because all other departments have improved. In actual fact, many departments are paying in 15 days in the province, quite a number of them. So it's an area that I think we want to get all our departments. DIG, which is the Department of Infrastructure Development, was one of the departments that was not paying in 30 days. It was DIG and Health. We have worked with the Department of Infrastructure Development. They're now paying within 30 days.
What did you particularly do right there?
So
what intervention did you bring in?
The ability to process invoices within 30 days is a function of how do you manage cash and liquidity on a day-to-day basis. So if we reprioritize budget, shifts budget, work on efficiencies, make sure that we relieve certain areas of payments to free the money. Of course, we can also increase the budget as an option. But first and foremost, we want to look at value for money efficiencies, cut leakages, waste. So those type of issues. In actual fact, last year with the MEC of Health, we had a meeting in the province where we said this is the process we're going to work on. I don't want to preempt the results, but we will announce on what work we are doing to improve the financial situation to make sure that invoices are processed efficiently and effectively. Putting invoices on an automated system is excellent because paperwork, manual, also create problems of people manipulating that. An invoice doesn't move one step forward unless there's money paid, bribes and all that. So it brings transparency, openness, track and trace of the invoice. You can see it on the system, and that eliminates dependency on the human factor. So the automation of the invoicing system also enhances efficiencies. There's also another system we're working on. We'll also make announcements on it for very small transactions where we pay in 3-2 days. Yeah. It's an initiative that is still at its infancy, but we do have a system that we call the P-card, where I even tweeted about it some few weeks ago, wherein we're able to make sure that consumables that are quick and fast and small amounts, you don't need people to wait for a long time to be paid. Yes.
Yeah. Let's talk about
coffee, things like coffee.
Instant coffee and stuff. A pressure point for many people
Jacobs
is the wardens, right? I had the DA earlier on saying that you have bloated the wage bill by this job creation scheme that you have created. You didn't really create the job, but you've taken those and government is paying those salaries, making the wage bill quite big.
Yeah, I think the DA really should be the last to speak on this matter. First, their own leader, Steenhuisen, insulted the crime prevention wardens. And I think that matter has actually deserved to be taken further because so what they are saying, they are just continuing on that line of these are just people taken from Shebins. These are, even when I raised it with him, I had the privilege to engage him in Parliament when we were doing the debate of the President on the state of the national affairs. He was continuously doing this, meaning these are drunkards. They wear clothes from a pep store. So with those racist remarks that they've made and the additional points that they're making on with bloating, so just their take on the crime prevention wardens is just consistent with what their leader said. Let me tell you, and the viewers, there's information that's sitting in community safety, which details some of the achievements on the different areas of crime, the statistics, the successes, what work they have done. I asked for this information from the MEC, and they gave us. So the crime prevention wardens are doing an excellent job. Communities, for example, there are people who will wake up very early in the morning, vulnerable people, women, going to work early hours of the morning in the townships, in key transport nodes, who will get marked and attacked in the evening when they come back. The crime prevention wardens are showing number of successes. So to that extent, we're happy. We have announced in this budget that we're going to be putting money for the command center as an infrastructure to support their operations. We bought them cars, we bought subs cars. So the issue of crime, I think, is one area. Look at the budget of community safety. Yeah. It has moved from 2.3. Remember when we came in with the premium, this budget was in 2022. It was slightly around 1 billion. We took it in less than 2 years. It's now today as we speak. It's 2.3 billion. If you look at the projection for the 3-year cycle, the next 3 years, it will be at 7.2 billion. Yeah, 7.2 billion. So I can tell you, in this whole country, in all the provinces, subject to correction, I don't think there's been any province that has done such a remarkable investment within a short space of time on the investments we have made in this area. The crime prevention wardens are, for me, one of the best ways to strengthen capacity, because visible policing, people being there, men and women, supported by drones, by helicopters, this is a massive success story, and I think the people of the province will agree with me when I say we've exactly put our money in the policy pronouncements we've made.
Completely
no doubt about that.
I appreciate your time as always. Thank you very much for coming in. That's the MEC for Finance there, Jacob Mamabolo.